Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and welcome to the Karey Carbaugh podcast, episode number 41. Buenas noches, damas y caballeros, chicos y chicas, niños de todas edades, y bienvenidos a el Karey Carbaugh podcast, episodio número 41. Welcome, everyone. My name is Karey Carbaugh, and this is the Karey Carbaugh Podcast. If you're joining me live, please drop the word live or an L in the comments to let me know that you're here live. And if you're catching this on the replay, it would be great if you could drop an R or the word replay so that I know that you're watching this on the replay. And it's always nice for me to know where you're dialing in from. So if you could let me know that in the comments, that would be great as well. As always, I really appreciate all of the support that I've been getting through these podcasts. It's hard for me to believe we're on episode number 41. Before long, we're going to have been doing these for an entire year, and we'll be on episode number 52. But for right now, episode number 41. And I can see a few people joining me. Welcome in. And let me know throughout this if you're getting value by dropping the word value or a V in the comments. And that would be great. So without further ado, let's jump into our topic tonight. As you may have noticed from the title, I've titled this 6 Keys to Happiness, Fulfillment, and High Self-Worth. And basically what I had in mind is we're going to cover a topic that I've had shared in several of the personal development conferences that I've gone to. I've mentioned those a little bit in the last few weeks. And this is going to be another topic that was covered. I covered one a couple weeks ago. And this is another one. This is the 6 basic human needs. And researchers have discovered that all of us have 6 basic areas of human need. Some of us more than others in certain areas, but these are 6 areas that everyone has some degree of desire or need in. And so we'll go through these tonight, and I'll explain what I mean by these. If you'll allow me, I'm going to use my phone so that I don't miss one. For those who don't know, I am visually impaired, so if I'm looking down at my phone or holding my phone up close, you'll know why. I'm not trying to ignore the camera. I just want to make sure that I catch all of my notes here and catch specifically the 6 needs. These are not necessarily in any particular order, but the first one is love and connection. This refers to, it may refer to a romantic relationship, but it may also refer to connection with friends or family, other loved ones, and it simply refers to the connection, the love, the human interaction between people. Everyone desires a certain degree of love and connection. The second area is significance. This refers to feelings of being significant. Perhaps it's to your loved ones. Perhaps it's to others you come in contact with. Maybe volunteerism. Maybe making some sort of a contribution or a actually contribution is another one that we'll cover here in a minute, but it may be in fact feelings of helping someone else, significance in their life. Number 3 is certainty. Everyone desires a certain degree of certainty. No pun intended there. A degree of certainty. We all want to know that our basic needs are being met, our basic physical needs. And I neglected to mention in the beginning of this that these are spiritual, emotional, or cognitive needs, not necessarily the physical needs like food and shelter and clothing, heating in the wintertime, cooling in the summertime. Those are also basic human needs too. Those are physical needs. And this one on certainty refers back to some of those. We all want a certain degree of certainty that those things will be met and that we don't have to struggle to know where our next meal is coming from. People who are homeless or people who are either unemployed or food inadequate don't have this same level of certainty, and that is an area in their life where they are lacking one of these 6 basic emotional human needs, if you will. So that's the third one. Number 4 is contribution. We referred to this a little bit. What is the difference between contribution and significance? I would suggest to you that contribution is a broader term, contributing to a cause. The importance of significance, contributing to something bigger than yourself, whether that's a cause, whether that's being part of a group and making a contribution as part of a group. It's the bigger areas of significance. So significance and contribution can be linked to each other. And you may find that some of your activities help fulfill more than one of these needs. Perhaps your love and connection and your significance are tied together. Or maybe you're contributing through a group that you're intimately connected with. Again, not necessarily on a physical level, but more of an emotional connection. That, for me, these volunteer groups working with these self-help or self-development conferences, to me that plays into a few of these areas: significance, contribution, connection. So you may have activities that contribute or that build up more than one of these areas in one activity. Let's move on to number 5 here. Number 5 is growth. That refers to not so much a physical growth, but an emotional growth, educational growth. All of us desire a certain amount of education and emotional growth. I had a manager, he was actually a second level manager, so my supervisor's supervisor. When I first started with IBM years ago, right out of college, he said to me on one of my first days on the job, and this is something I've never forgotten, he said to me, if you're ever in a job and you're not learning something every day, then it's time to look for a new job. And I don't know that I've followed that entirely throughout my career. I don't know that I've learned something new every single day, but certainly I've learned something new and gained a new skill on a fairly regular basis, once a week, once a month. Rarely, if ever, is there a major block of time that goes by when I'm not learning something new. And so this, I would suggest, is the 5th area of basic human needs when it comes to emotional and mental needs. The last area, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about these in general, the 6th area is variety. We talked about, what did we call it? Certainty. And in many areas of our life, we desire certainty. Certainty where our next meal's coming from, certainty where our housing's coming from. But most people also desire, or all of us really to some degree, some of us more than others, desire variety, changes. Some of us thrive on changes, some of us don't thrive on a lot of changes. But again, I would suggest if you're not growing and changing and having some level of variety, then you're dying. I've heard it said that anything living is either growing and changing or it's dying. So nothing stays the same. And all of us desire a certain level of variety to keep from being bored, to keep life from being boring. And so these are the 6 basic human needs. I'd like to encourage you to think of your own life. I'll run these through one more time quickly. The first one is love and connection, significance, certainty, contribution, growth, and variety. I'd like you to think of your own life. In each of these areas, are you performing or are you being fulfilled at a high level, which would be a level 10, or at a low level, which would be a level 1 or a level 0? And somewhere in the 5 to 6 to 7 range would be, I'm doing okay in these areas, but it's not necessarily a strong need being met, a need that's being met strongly. And if you think about these as spokes on a wheel, where each one of these 6 is a spoke, and if you're performing at a level 10, or if you're being fulfilled at a level 10, your spoke would be very long. If you're being fulfilled at a level 2 or 3, your spoke might be shorter. And so if you think of these in terms of a wheel, it's important to be fulfilled equally in each of these 6 areas. Otherwise, as you're rolling down the road of life, if your wheel is off balance, you're going to not roll smoothly. You're going to bounce around as you're moving through life. You're going to not be as fulfilled overall, not be rolling down life's road quite as smoothly. Let's say your first one, your love and connection, let's say, is very high. And again, not that the order is important, but let's say love and connection is high and contribution is high. But the others are all relatively low. Let's say love and connection is at a level 10, contribution is at a level 9, and the others maybe are at a level 4 or 5. Your wheel's going to look more like a football. And how does a football roll? Not if you're rolling it around the diameter, but if you're rolling it end to end, it doesn't roll very well, which makes it very difficult to move through life and feel fulfilled, difficult to be happy. Whereas if they're all at a more even level, you'll find yourself to be happier, more fulfilled, and have higher feelings of self-worth. However, if they're all at a level 2 or 3, your wheel may be pretty well rounded, but it's going to be really small, which means it's going to take a lot more effort to get through your day, to emotionally cope when something comes up that sort of rocks that wheel or rocks your self-esteem. If all of your areas are just barely being fulfilled, yes, your wheel will be rounded, but it's going to be very small and you're going to have to move really quickly to get through life. Whereas if your wheel is bigger, let's say all of your areas are being fulfilled at a level 8, 9, or 10, now your wheel is bigger and it's much easier to roll through life and kind of stream down the road of life, and things don't rock you too much when they come along. They might strain you a little, they might rock your boat a little bit, but for the most part, if your wheel is pretty big, you're chilling, you're enjoying life, you're fulfilled, you're happy, and you have high levels of self-worth. And so this is the idea behind these 6 basic emotional human needs, and how fulfillment in each of these areas can be the keys to happiness, fulfillment, and high levels of self-worth. So I hope you found that valuable. If you have, drop me a V or the word value in the comments. If you can relate to any of this, drop the word relate. And if there's any of these you have questions about or would like additional information on, let me know that by putting the particular area that was maybe confusing or that you had questions about, either followed by or preceded by the word question. And I can either dive into that more in a future podcast or perhaps respond to you in the direct messages. Let's see how we're doing on time, because I do see that we have a few comments here. Let me jump on here. We'll respond to a few of them. I don't want to take too much more of your time. And actually, I don't know if this is going to work as well as I thought it was. I do see here we have Tennille joining us. Thank you so much, Tennille. It's glad to see you on here with me. And you're also an icon, my friend. I appreciate you joining me. Daryl Cutchin, thanks for joining me, Dr. Daryl. I will read some of these comments and respond to them a little bit more later. Daryl says, drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. I can't remember if that's a song or I believe it's a song, and I like that. Thanks for sharing that, Daryl. I will respond. Looks like those are the only 2 comments we've gotten so far, but I will respond to those also in the chat. If you'd like to be added to my email list, because I'm going to start doing some more in-depth trainings on some of these topics, more personally geared. So I'd like to add you to my email list. If you'd like to be added to that, drop the word email in the comments or direct message me with your email address, and I'll get you added to that list. And I think that's all I've got for you tonight. Once again, I really appreciate you joining me. And if you've enjoyed this if you've enjoyed this podcast tonight, hit that like button. As another podcaster that I follow says, like if you do, and leave me a comment down below. And until next time, I will bid you a fond farewell. Have a great evening or a great day, depending on when you're watching this. And make it a great week. Be a blessing to someone you come in contact with. Do something positive for someone else this week. Until next week on the Karey Carbaugh Podcast, this has been the Karey Carbaugh Podcast. Until next week, or if I pop up in the meantime, Make it a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now.